Hey, True Seekers, welcome back. Sec here. It's August 12th, 2015. I just did a video on Jimmy Carter's cancer announcement and why I suspect it's likely a hoax for the purpose of bringing more attention to cancer and hopefully more dollars for charities such as Susan G. Komen, which are complete frauds. If you're new to my work, what I show is how this world is ran by a gang of deceivers, liars, thieves, who disrespect us on the daily, but we, the masses, are not awake to this and tolerate and support this abuse with our actions and our ignorance. So my hope in doing these videos is to wake people up to what's really going on. And what I show is the importance of numbers, how they're coded, and how they're used to piece these hoaxes together. For example, the Iranian hostage crisis lasted 444 days, and the number 44 is very specific to cancer, the state of Georgia where Jimmy Carter comes from, and Jimmy Carter's cancer announcement. So let's just go through this. The date the Iranian hostage crisis began on was November 4th, 1979, a date with 113 numerology. This number is so often coded into hoaxes. The word mainstream equals 113, dishonest equals 113, green screen equals 113. Ask yourself who runs the media, who has their names in high places. It is Zionist Jews. In the Bava Kama, the Jewish holy text, Rule A113 says a Jew can circumvent a non-Jew or a Gentile by lying to them. Think about dishonest and mainstream in light of that in this routine coding. With regards to 113, what it's known as the Iran hostage crisis has gematria of 113, and with the reduced method 86, like the word symbol, triangle, pyramid. This is still a symbolic event, still remembered in modern time Iranian relations between the United States and the nation of Iran. So Jimmy Carter hails from the Georgia, the fourth state in order of statehood. Georgia, one of only two states with a gematria of 44. Fourth state, 44. Jimmy Carter's from there, 444-day Iranian hostage crisis. The right president was in office for this hoax of an event. And then, of course, it ended on Ronald Reagan's first day, who before becoming president was the 33rd governor of California. And let me show you how his life was by the numbers. Just as I'm sure when Jimmy Carter dies, we'll see how his birth and death corresponded, because this is true of so many celebrities, including Ronald Reagan, which we're about to look at. Ronald Reagan, 40th president, 33rd governor. Notice that Ronald Reagan was born February 6th, 26. That is a God number. He also died on June 5th, which is the 156th day of the year, another number connected to God. Just show you this real quick, True Seeker. These numbers are of great importance to God and gematria. 26, 156, 61. Ronald Reagan, born on 2/6, a lot like 26, dies on the 156th day of the year, June 5th, at the age of 93. Another number of importance. His name, though, Ronald Reagan. Notice how Ronald has gematria of 64, Reagan 46, the reflection of 64, which together sums to 110. Ronald Reagan is often remembered as a hero by many Americans for what he did in ending the Iranian hostage crisis and more. Notice that hero has the same gematria as Reagan. Often in stories in the media of police officers getting killed, the officer's name sums to 46, all part of the giveaway of the fake stories and the coding beneath. President and Ronald Reagan, both words with 110 gematria. The name Adolf Hitler has gematria of 110. He was president of Germany. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, the 110th day of the year. Again, with regards to his birth and his death, born on February 6th, 26, a lot like God. Died on the 156th day of the year, June 5th. The movie Truman Show, named after the 33rd president, came out on the 156th day of the year. The main character, Truman Burbank, the main character played by Jim Carrey, has name gematria of 156. That movie's about playing God over people's lives, named after the 33rd president. Of course, Reagan was the 33rd governor before becoming president. 33. Another word when spelled out with that 156 gematria. Reagan, the 33rd president. The president sits in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has gematria of 137, Truth Seeker. 137 is the 33rd prime number. All this stuff is coded by the Freemasons. All the words, all the names we use in this nation, all highly Masonic. Out of the 50 states, only three have 33 names. Of the 50 states, the first and last, Delaware, Hawaii, and the sixth state, Massachusetts. The numerology of 33 is 3 plus 3 equals 6. And also, just think about this, Truth Seeker. In the history of California, since Reagan, they've had another actor. Ronald Reagan was an actor before governor. They've since had Arnold Schwarzenegger, another actor turned governor, with the name gematria of 223, 322 in reverse. The synagogue of Satan equals 223. The people said to rule in the end times, as mentioned in Revelation. The current governor of California is nicknamed Moonbeam. Mr. Brown, they call him Moonbeam, which in Pythagorean gematria sums to 33. They love these 33 tributes. I just bring them up just to give you some more context, show you how these tributes go on and on and on through all these men, through all these people who deceive us on the regular. And right now, Jimmy Carter, even as an old man long out of office, still participating in the hoaxes, because these are company men. A lot of people think Jimmy Carter's a great guy. That's just part of his actor role, Truth Seeker. Let's close out by watching some nightly news footage. All right, here we go with the footage from the day of the end of the Iranian hostage crisis, the 444th day. And as I pointed out, some people might think this is crazy, but YouTube really does filter likes according to this numerology and gematria. Iran has gematria of 42. If I can pull this up real quick, Truth Seeker, I just want to show you something. One more important point this reminds me of. I'm glad they give these giveaways, because now that I know how to read their language, it reminds me of things. Whoops. So does that word. Iran. 42. 42. If you write out 42, it has gematria of 142. Jimmy Carter was the 39th president. 39 also has that gematria of 142. 39 and 42 are connected that way. That might also be part of the reason the 39th president, which was Jimmy Carter, was used in this stunt. With regards to 39, the reflection of that number is 93, the age Ronald Reagan died at. And Ronald Reagan lived and died by the numbers, as I showed. All right, now on with the video footage.
Now, day one. Day one of Ronald Reagan's presidency, and day one of freedom for 52 Americans. Though thousands of miles apart, these two historic events moved almost on parallel tracks today. The new president had not been in office an hour when the former hostages became free men and women again. And they are well along now on their trip to West Germany and eventually to home. For the latest on their return to freedom, here is Peter Jennings in West Germany. Peter?
Frank, the Algerian 727 carrying the freed hostages left Athens about 1 hour ago. It's now over the Mediterranean. It was on the ground 90 minutes for refueling. No one disembarked. The American ambassador to Greece, Bob McCloskey, did not go on board, but he did send some flowers on board, and he got a note back from his old friend Bruce Langan, who said, "I am very glad to be finally going home." It is about a 3-hour flight from Athens to Algiers, where the former captives should arrive about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've seen only 2 pictures from Tehran itself today. Iranian television did not transmit any of its coverage outside the country. We have seen 2 still photos. In one, Joseph Sulik Jr., the second from the left, is being escorted by 3 Iranians. Sulik, whose parents live in Redford, Michigan, had once been specifically accused by his captors of being a spy. In the second picture, Donald Cook, he's the one with glasses and a beard and somewhat more familiar to us, is also being escorted. For Cook, at 25, Tehran was his first overseas post with the State Department. Well, the Iranians who watch television have seen more than we have. It's been on local television there, and in Tehran, the Australian reporter Ray Sinclair offers his impression of what he saw.
I think a lot of people at the other end are going to be quite shocked by what they see of the Americans who will get off that plane. Just looking at them, they appear to have momentarily at least lost complete touch with reality. I'm quite sure they cannot conceive that they are free now.
I'll just point out that Tehran and Ray Sinclair both have gematria of 66, something they often like to coordinate with their reporting, as crazy as it seems, but so often documented.
Their faces are blank, their eyes are glazed. It's a stunning emotional experience.
One of the last people to see the Americans in person just before the plane left was the Swiss ambassador Eric Lang. 2 hostages, he said, had difficulty walking, but the others looked fit. They have aged, said the ambassador, and he referred specifically to the charge d'affaires Bruce Langan, an old friend of his at Will. It was childlike, the ambassador said. They, the hostages, couldn't quite believe they were leaving, but they were falling all over each other with emotion. There was laughing, and there were tears. Many, perhaps most, had not seen each other for those 14 months. It was, said Ambassador Lang, a moment that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And so it is now Algiers where world attention will be focused. Without the Algerian government, this deal for the Americans' freedom would not have been made. And when the 52 stopped there, briefly, there are no plans for them to remain overnight. Algeria's role in all this should deservedly be restated. In Algiers, here's ABC's Lou Chiaffi.
The 2 American Nightingales, which will carry the hostages on the next leg of their voyage, arrived here at Algiers airport tonight. These medical evacuation planes are designed to give emergency treatment until they reach a major medical facility.
Algiers has gematria of 44, Truth Seeker. That number special to Jimmy Carter, Georgia.
May be necessary. As ABC News has reported, some of the hostages are physically and mentally tired. 2 of them are said to be having difficulty walking. But tired or not, their arrival here is going to be the cause for celebration. Even before the hostages arrived, the American negotiating team in Algiers held its own party, popping the corks in a couple of bottles of champagne to mark the end of a long, difficult, and often frustrating effort.
Think about it. That's probably paid with taxpayer dollars. You know, people like us who work hard and slave and have to submit to all these conditions, while these people reign over us and lie to us on the daily. How much longer can we take it for? This is 81, Truth Seeker, 34 years ago.
To get the Americans released. The mood of celebration was echoed by the head of the delegation, Deputy Secretary of State Warren Christopher.
Just say I'm very happy.
Once on the ground, the hostages will be taken to the VIP lounge at Algiers Airport for a short 1.5-hour stop to change planes. They'll be greeted by Algeria's foreign minister, who played an important role in the final drama. There may be an informal reception, but nothing elaborate. The Algerians understand the impatience of the hostages to waste no time continuing on their way. The next destination, West Germany, and an American military hospital. At Wiesbaden, the next to the last stop on their long trip home. Peter?
Of course they want to put that red cross on the screen, connected to Knights Templar and Masonry.
Lou, thank you very much. Perhaps I needn't remind you, but wherever the hostages are, and especially when they get here to West Germany, ABC News will be on the air. Frank?
Thank you, Peter. We certainly will be. And we'll be back to you, too, later in this broadcast. Well, before this day of happiness could dawn, there were more anxious hours during the long night. In this country, the command post, as often in a time of crisis, the Oval Office of the White House. We have a report from Barry Dunsmore.
It wasn't the first time that top Carter administration officials had spent sleepless nights in the Oval Office over Iran. But no matter what, it would be their last. This one had a different ending.
Secretary Miller.
All right. Here we go.
Hello? Kevin. Right on, man. That's great. That's great. Okay, now, the next step then. So that'll go to... So that'll go to Algiers, and Algiers, when they notify Iran, will notify us back, right?
Later this morning, after word was received that Iran had taken all the necessary steps to make the transfer of its assets possible, Mr. Carter could relax even more, although there was always the nagging doubt. It wasn't until the motorcade on their way to the capital that the president was able to tell the president-elect that the hostages were aboard planes and would be airborne in 15 or 20 minutes. But it would be longer. Finally, just before Mr. Carter got to Andrews Air Force Base for his trip home to Plains, the hostages' departure was officially confirmed. They had taken off about a half an hour after he was no
Andrews, a 39 word for the 39th president. Telling you, they do it all by the numbers, Truth Seeker.
longer president. The timing could hardly have been accidental. Once the planes had left Iran's airspace, members of the Iran working group at the State Department could take their first sigh of relief and begin formally informing hostage families that everyone was out and safe. Relief, exhaustion, and disbelief were the prevailing emotions. Also at the State Department, Mrs. Louisa Kennedy, who had become a hostage family spokesman, said she was numb. She also described the Iranians' last-minute toying as revolting. Mrs. Catherine Keogh, whose husband was the schoolteacher who just happened to be in the embassy when it was taken, spoke eloquently of the emotions of the moment.
I think what you are looking at is about 15 months of holding one's emotions in check. And to shed all of that magically with a snap of the finger and say it's over is very difficult to do. We are experiencing a decompression as almost exactly the kind of decompression that the hostages must be going through.
Outgoing Secretary
See, even when I was a little kid and I watched the news, all the people just seemed insane to me that were on TV. I mean, you don't meet people in real life who speak like that. Didn't that lady just seem like she was on another planet? Oh my goodness. I don't know how people are fooled by the TV.
of State Muskie also had some thoughts on what the hostage crisis had meant to him.
Well, I suppose, in a sense, I'll be known in the footnotes of State Department history as the hostage secretary.
Muskie, a 33 name. A second ago they were talking about a Kennedy. Of course, Kennedy's a 33 name. Everyone in that family who's died in tragedy has died on a 33 date. Muskie. Oh boy.
I came in because of this problem, and because of it, I was not destined to continue, and they've come home at the end. I think it's perfect.
The State Department is nearly empty this evening. The Carter folks have left. The Reagan people haven't yet arrived. Many of the professionals...
And this guy, Dunsmore, another awfully suspicious name with the 44 gematria. Just put one more 44 on it. And this is back in 81. If you watch the news today, it's the same thing. They get these people out there with the names that coordinate with the stories. I recently showed how at the unveiling of the first satanic statue on the same day that happened to be Obama's 6th year, 6th month, 6th day in office, the woman that they sent out there named Shia Man had a name gematria of 666. And that was the same day I Am Kate debuted that began with a 666 tribute as well. So if you think this stuff sounds loony, I get it. I understand why you think it sounds loony. But I'm saying it really is. This is what they're doing. This is what they've always done.
don't know what they're going to be doing. Such circumstances don't really lend themselves to celebrations. However, there is an overwhelming sense of relief here that the new administration can begin without the curse of the Iran crisis. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, the State Department.
So there it was. The end of Carter's presidency, the beginning of Ronald Reagan's as the hero. It's time to put this game to an end, Truth Seeker. Way too many years, too long. I wasn't even alive when any of that happened. All right. Until next time.